Let's explore the edit component in React Admin. The edit component is what renders the edit page. Here I'm using an edit component generated by edit guesser based on the response from the JSON placeholder API. And what this component edit does is read the resource and ID from the URL to fetch the data provider for a single record and pass this record to its child. Here it's a simple form. And so that allows edit to bind the form with a record. Edit does one more thing. It creates a save handler for the form to actually apply the update. So here, if I update this user to John, it will save it to John here. So that's interesting. Oh, it's coming back to Leon. That's a side effect of the JSON placeholder API I'm using, which is read-only. In reality, this effect doesn't happen. So I'm going to show you a few props of the edit component. The first one that you may want to change is the title. So here by default, the edit page is the title of the edit page is using the record representation, but you can change it to an arbitrary string, edit user, for instance. Or, and that's more interesting, you can create your own component that will use the record context to grab the current record. So I'm going to create a page title component with the second T, and it's going to use the use record context hook to get the record, and it will return a string with the username. And this page title here, I'm going to use it as an element in here. So here I can see that this page has used the current context, and it works also for other users. So I can have a dynamic title. I can also use the same technique to have an aside component. So here an aside component is what the edit component displays on the side of the main block. It doesn't really make sense to display the title here, but you can see that using the record context, you can display all sort of interesting instructions or metadata about the current record. Another prop that I wanted to show you is mutation mode. Mutation mode is what governs the way this form actually applies the side effects. And here there's one side effect. After the save, the form redirects to the list. But what you can see here is that it redirects to the list after having applied the mutation locally. That's why the name John has changed here. But it hasn't called the data provider yet. It's using what we call the optimistic rendering. It applies all the mutation locally, then the side effects, then calls the actual mutation with the data provider. You may want to change that to a pessimistic mutation mode, and in this case the side effects will wait for the actual mutation, the actual call to the data provider to be finished, and that's why you will see that it's a bit slower, and the user can no longer undo, and the page refreshes immediately. So that's mutation mode. But the most important prop of the edit component is its child. Here it's a simple form, and of course you can change the way you lay out the elements, for instance, by using a stack from Material UI. So here I'm going to use stack that I need to import import stack from UI material, and I'm going to use a stack with the direction row and a spacing of 2, and I'm going to put all these 3 inputs in it, and so I can stack them horizontally. So you can change the layout, and that's a feature of the simple form, but what I wanted to show is that you can actually use something else than simple form. For instance, you can use a tabbed form, which is a form that has several tabs, and a tab has a label, and I create a new one, a new tab form here. Item for tab for the address. And this displays another type of form with inputs grouped in tabs. And in fact, you can use any other form that you want. ReactAdmin has many other forms to have different form layouts. And I've just scratched the surface of the different props you can customize in Edit. I invite you to check the Edit documentation, which also has a few recipes for advanced usage.